This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated's blog Zalma on Insurance. Today I'd like to speak about what happens when a person is convicted of wire and insurance fraud in a federal court and then attempts to avoid jail by filing multiple appeals and motions to the various courts. After being convicted of multiple counts of fraud, Ejaz Shreef was sentenced to a term of imprisonment for 48 months on each count, concurrent, followed by 2 years of supervised release. In Ejaz Shreef versus the United States of America, the United States District Court for the Western District of North Carolina resolved his latest motion to reduce or eliminate his sentence. A federal grand jury had indicted Shreef along with 3 co-conspirators with conspiracy to commit wire and bank fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. As to count 1, the indictment charged that from April 2009 through about April 2018, Shreef and the co-conspirators did knowingly conspire to commit offenses against the United States, including violations of Title 18 United States Code Section 1343 wire fraud and 1344 bank fraud. Shreef proceeded to a jury trial, and the jury convicted him on both counts. On direct appeal, Shreef argued that the insurance fraud scheme supporting the wire fraud object of the conspiracy concluded before the running of the statute of limitations, and even if the charge was timely, insufficient evidence supported the jury's verdict. Evidence of prior bad acts was inappropriately admitted against him, and trial counsel was ineffective for failing to request a reliance on expert jury instruction. On April 9, 2021, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeal affirmed the court's judgment and declined to address the ineffective assistance of counsel claim. Shreef, unwilling to accept the Fourth Circuit's decision and still trying to avoid jail, filed a motion to vacate and argued 1. Prosecutorial misconduct for the government submitting 18 U.S.C. 1343 and 1344 to support Shreef's conviction without submitting such statutes to the grand jury, and 2. Ineffective assistance of trial and appellate counsel for failing to adequately investigate the case, and 3. Allowing the government to convict or maintain a conviction unconstitutionally. Shreef argued that the government overreached, and the verdict form submitted to the jury mirrored the charges set forth in the indictment. Consistent with the indictment, the jury found that wire fraud and bank fraud were objects of the conspiracy. Then he argued for ineffective assistance of counsel, and the court noted that the Sixth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees the accused the right of the assistance of counsel for his defense. To show ineffective assistance of counsel, Shreef needed to establish a deficient performance by counsel, and second, that the deficient performance prejudiced him. Courts are required, however, to recognize the strong presumption that counsel's conduct falls within the wide range of reasonable professional assistance. Furthermore, in considering the prejudice prong of the analysis, the court can only grant relief if the result of the proceeding was fundamentally unfair or unreliable. Shreef bears the burden of showing that there is a reasonable probability that but for counsel's failure to raise an issue on appeal or at trial, the result of the proceeding would have been different, that is, that he would have prevailed. The court concluded that there was no deficient performance by Shreef's trial or appellate counsel for their failure to raise or attempt to support what turned out, because of the decision of the Fourth Circuit, a frivolous argument. Moreover, Shreef failed to allege or show any prejudice. Therefore, Shreef's motion to vacate was dismissed and denied, and he stays in jail. In my opinion, insurance fraud perpetrators do not expect to be caught. And there's good reason for that. They usually are not. Experience shows that a very small percentage of fraud perpetrators are caught. Even smaller groups are prosecuted, and even smaller groups are convicted. Those who are convicted, like Mr. Shreef, believe that the only reason they were caught and convicted had to be the fault of someone else, and claim prosecutorial misconduct and inadequacy of counsel. It couldn't be this. They were just criminals. Since their crimes, but for the conviction, were probably successful, they had funds to support appeals and motions to keep themselves out of jail. Mr. Shreef expended a great deal of money for an appeal to the Fourth Circuit and then this new motion to vacate to the U.S. District Court, and they both properly failed. This video was adapted from my blog, Zelma on Insurance, which is available at www.zelma.com/blog. Thank you for your attention.